Becky, who is 7 months pregnant, asks her brother to stop the car because she is not feeling well. Later, the girl tells Cal that she is not yet completely sure of her decision. They are halfway to San Diego, where a family lives who are ready to adopt her unborn child. Suddenly, from a field of tall grass, cries for help began to be heard, which belonged to a boy. He said he was lost. The brother and sister decided to help him. Becky was very surprised when the boy stated that he had been here for several days. At that moment, a second voice rang out, belonging to a woman who asked Tobin not to call anyone here. Cal and Becky found the situation strange, for the boy and the woman appeared to be very close to the road. Cal and Becky entered the field of tall grass. Following her brother, Becky started to call 911, but almost immediately the connection was lost. Becky panicked when Cal was out of sight. They could hear each other perfectly and were right next to each other, but they still couldn't meet. Becky began to suspect that something was wrong. The brother and sister wandered around the field for several minutes, but could not find each other. Becky realized that Cal's voice was getting farther away, though he claimed he hadn't moved. Becky and Cal agreed to jump up at the same time. When they did it the first time, they saw that they were close to each other, but when they jumped a second time, the distance between them was enormous. Cal, not understanding how this was possible, began to look for his sister in a panic, slipped and fell in the mud. In the grass, he saw the carcass of a dog. Sunset was approaching, but Becky and Cal still hadn't found each other. The brother told the sister to stay put, otherwise they would wander in that anomalous field forever. Seeing a strange man, Becky became alert. It turned out that his name was Ross. He is looking for his wife and son here. Despite her fear, Becky agreed to go with him. Before setting off, Ross advised the girl to keep up with him, no matter what happened. Night fell. Cal sat down on the ground and cried helplessly. Suddenly, Tobin came up behind him and told him that the field only moved people alive. One day, he and his parents heard cries for help from the road. That's how they ended up here. The boy also told that the tall grass was talking to him through a stone. Cal doesn't understand what's going on, but when Tobin offered to show him something, he agreed. Meanwhile, Becky confessed to Ross that the father of her child had abandoned them. At one point, the girl stumbled and saw someone else's things lying on the ground. Becky realized she'd lost sight of Ross and panicked, calling out for him. Suddenly, a silhouette appeared in the grass beside her. Tobin led Cal to a huge black stone in the heart of the field. The boy suggested that Cal touch it. As if under hypnosis, the guy was about to do so, but when he heard his sister screaming, he rushed to look for her. In the following shots, we see a guy named Travis showing a woman a picture of Becky and Cal missing. Soon Travis stops at the Church of the Black Stone of the Redeemer, with Cal's car standing next to it. There is spoiled food in the interior. Travis went into the church, but no one was there. Later he found a book on the road, which Becky had been reading earlier. Realizing that the girl was in danger, Travis entered the field of tall grass. To avoid getting lost, Travis tied the grass in a knot, unaware that it would straighten on its own as soon as he walked forward. Soon Travis realized something was wrong. He wandered in the field until late at night and still could not find a way out. Feeling powerless, he looked at the photo of Becky, when suddenly he heard a noise in the grass. Tobin came out to Travis, frightening his. The boy advised him to listen to the grass. It speaks in the voices of all the people who were stuck here. Travis was shocked to realize that Tobin knew his name. The boy claimed that they had met before and suggested that he find Becky together. Before entering the grass, Tobin advised Travis to keep up with him. Seeing Becky's body on the ground, Travis burst into tears and began to call for help. After saying that the field only moves the living, Tobin disappeared into the grass. In the morning, Travis woke up on the ground. He took Becky's pendant, which she always carried with her. At some point, Travis heard voices coming from the side of the road and started calling for help. The guy realized that one of those people was Tobin, who for some reason did not recognize him. The dog and the family entered the field of tall grass, and almost immediately they lost each other. Travis realized that he had called them here for nothing, for it was his fault that this family was trapped. It got dark again. Ross searched desperately for his wife and son. Trying to remain calm, he kept walking forward. Suddenly, he saw the large black stone that spoke to him. In the next scene, we see Becky and Cal hear again from the road the cries of Tobin for help, who was lost in the field of tall grass. Travis, who was already exhausted, heard Becky and Cal's voices. They were trying to find each other at that moment. Realizing that Travis was also in the field, the sister and brother became confused. Travis claimed that he had been looking for them the whole time. Becky and Cal wondered how he got here before they did. Asking Tobin, who had found his dog dead, to speak as loudly as possible, Travis rushed out to find him. Finally, he managed to do so. They were soon joined by Cal and Becky. They all found each other thanks to the dog, because the field only moves the living. The brother and sister demanded an explanation. Travis claimed that they had been missing for 2 months. Cal couldn't believe it because it seemed like only 2 days had passed. As he put Tobin on his shoulders, Travis asked him to tell if he could see anything around him other than grass. In the distance, the boy noticed the church. That's where the company went. Becky increasingly felt pains in her stomach. Travis experienced guilt, for he had abandoned his beloved and their unborn daughter. Suddenly, Becky's phone rang. When the girl answered it, she heard her own voice. She asked not to let Cal hurt Travis. The company decided that this was another trap of this place and continued on their way. Time passed, but there was no end to the grass. Becky, who was already losing her strength, began to experience strange visions and fainted. Cal and Travis got scared, but the next second Ross ran out of the grass and began resuscitating the girl. Luckily, Becky woke up. Tobin hugged his father, who claimed he had managed to get out of the field once before, but he returned to find the wife and son. Natalie is still out here somewhere. Night fell. The company searched for Natalie and the way back. Ross told that their family had gone on vacation, but on the way they heard Travis' voice from the grass. Suddenly, Travis led the company to the black stone on which there was an ancient carving. Ross surmised that the stone had been here since the Ice Age. He touched the rock, listening to its will. Cal was about to touch it when he was suddenly stopped by Natalie, who ran out of the tall grass. She hugged the son and told the husband not to go near them. According to her, everything he says is a lie. Natalie also claimed to have seen Becky breathless on the ground a few days ago. The girl realized that Ross wasn't who he said he was and said they had to leave right away. But Ross wouldn't let them, saying that this stone is the supreme gift that will reveal to them all the secrets of the universe. All they have to do is touch it. Travis told Ross to let Natalie and Tobin go. At that moment, the grass fell silent. Ross realized he was the chosen one and had to start acting tough. Travis attacked him, telling the others to run, but no one ran. The madness didn't stop. Ross took Natalie's life with his own hands in front of Tobin's eyes. The company rushed to flee and, spotting some building, decided to hide there, although they understood that Ross would soon find them. There was a conflict between Cal and Travis that turned into a fight, but when Ross's voice was heard saying that redemption was at the door, the guys briefly forgot their differences. The company moved to the roof, wondering what to do next. The church is very close, but it and this building are separated by the field of grass. When the dog went behind the bush, he didn't come out the other side, just disappearing. After a minute, they saw the dog in the distance. Travis stumbled and nearly fell off the roof. Cal managed to grab the guy, but then let him fall. Tobin was a witness to this. Ross was already on the roof. After lying to the sister that Travis would be joining them soon, Cal told her to run, but Becky didn't want to leave her beloved, guessing the brother had done something to him. Ross caught up with them. Cal rushed to run when suddenly Ross was right in his way and grabbed him, pinning to the ground. Seeing himself dead on the side, Cal screamed. It turned out that this happened dozens of times already. Hearing Becky's voice, Travis woke up. They could not find each other. Feeling helpless, Travis told his beloved that he was sorry for everything he had done. Becky confessed to the ex-boyfriend that she went to San Diego with the brother to place her daughter in foster care, but now she no longer wants that, wanting to protect her baby girl at all costs. The lovers were almost able to touch hands when suddenly Ross grabbed Becky and threw to the ground. Seeing a pair of nail scissors nearby, Becky took them, attacked Ross, and taking advantage of the moment to run away. It began to rain. The girl walked through the endless field of tall grass. At some point, she began to be surrounded by human-like creatures with grass funnels instead of faces. The creatures picked up screaming Becky in their arms. The grass all around was alive and whispering. Becky woke up in the mud, horrified to see the black stone in front of her. She called desperately for Travis, but only the whisper of grass answered her. Then Becky called her own phone, telling herself not to let Cal hurt Travis. Becky went into labor, just as the ancient prophecy had bequeathed. The grass kept whispering. The ground beside Becky collapsed. The souls of those who had once been trapped in this cursed place wished to break free and stretch their arms to the surface. The next time Becky woke up, she realized she had given birth. Cal, who was beside her, held the baby in his arms and asserted that all was well. Because of exhaustion, the girl was not alert when the brother said that the Magi were coming soon with gifts. He also started feeding Becca something strange, telling her it was just grass and seeds. She didn't realize right away that she was actually eating meat, and in front of her was not Cal at all, but Ross. Soon Travis finally found his beloved. She could barely speak and was calling for her daughter. Realizing what had happened, Travis cried. Tobin showed up and said his father did it. This has happened before and will happen again and again. After hugging Tobin, Travis promised that he would find a way to stop this. Ross, however, sneaked up on him, and after hitting, dipped him in the mud and then severely injured. It was Tobin's turn. Ross grabbed him and tried to force him to touch the stone, but suddenly Becky attacked the man. It was the last thing she could do. Suddenly, Travis woke up and said no one else would come back here, taking Ross's life. When it was over, Travis was crying over breathless Becky. Desperate, the guy decided to touch the stone in order to take on this burden. This means that he will now remain in this place forever. Stone gave him all its knowledge. Tobin was frightened, not knowing what to expect from Travis now. However, he told the boy to just follow him. Then Travis handed Tobin Becky's pendant, asking him not to let her into the field. The next moment, Tobin realized he was in the church. The boy stepped outside when he heard his own cries for help from the grass. Becky and Cal were already here too, and were about to enter the field. Tobin stopped them, saying that they had to get out of here, or it would happen again. To prove the truth of his words, Tobin gave Becky her own pendant, saying he'd received it from Travis. The brother and sister realized something was wrong here. After putting Tobin in the car, they were about to leave. Becky also told the brother that she had changed her mind about giving her daughter to the foster family and wanted to return home. As he heard the car pull away from the field of tall grass, Travis was relieved. He had fulfilled his destiny, and now he was destined to stay here forever.